call the regular board meeting to order. All members of the board are present except for Dr. Spicer and ex officio student board members Kirkhanis, Maurice, and Purva. Dr. Brown Hall, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag?
It will be my honor. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
May I have a motion to recess into executive session to discuss employment matters related to particular persons and collective negotiations? Ms. Fletch, Ms. Poulin, all in favor? Motion carried unanimously. May I have a motion to return the regular board meeting to public session? Mr. Manna, Mr. Bulin, all in favor? Motion carried unanimously. I call the regular board meeting to order. All board members are present except for Dr. Spicer. Good evening and welcome to all in attendance. Please be advised that in the event of a fire emergency and an evacuation should be necessary, an alarm will sound. Please note all marked emergency exits and evacuate well away from the building. At this time, we request that everyone turn their cell phones and other electronic devices to silent. Thank you. Dr. Brown Hall, I turn it over to you for our school spotlights.
Thank you very much, Board President. Tonight's school spotlight focuses on Mill Middle School's Ed Camp, an exciting highlight of students' 5th grade ELA journey. Whether fascinated by the life of a historical icon or the mysteries of the universe, students have the opportunity to research and design an engaging presentation for families, teachers, and their peers. I'd like to welcome Principal Chris McDuffie and Mill's 5th grade ELA team to share more.
Dr. Brown Hall, thank you for that. And good evening to Dr. Brown Hall, our members of our leadership team, and our Board of Education. We really appreciate and thank you for having us tonight. As Dr. Brown Hall already alluded to, the Mill Middle School Ed Camp Research Project provides our 5th grade students with the unique opportunity to explore and become experts on a topic of their choice. During this process, students engage in meaningful research, strengthen critical thinking skills, and take ownership of their learning as they take a deep dive into subjects that spark curiosity and interest. Once students have completed their research and developed expertise in their selected areas, they share their learning with members of our school community. Peers, teachers, parents, and community members are invited into the school to learn from our students and see firsthand the time, effort, and dedication they have invested in their work. Ed Camp has become one of the highlights of the year at Mill, and it truly reflects the creativity, the collaboration, and commitment of our 5th grade team. I am extremely proud of the work our teachers and students have accomplished through this project. This evening, we are fortunate to have 3 of our outstanding 5th grade teachers with us, Mrs. Diane Dellinger, Mrs. Christine Doksha, and Mrs. Megan Quino. Awesome. And I'll now turn it over to them so that they can speak more to the hard work, the commitment, the time that goes into Ed Camp, and really what makes Ed Camp such a successful event every single year.
Awesome.
Hello, everyone. Principal McDuffie did a wonderful job sharing pieces of Ed Camp already, but we just have a little bit to add to it. So Ed Camp is the culmination of our nonfiction reading unit in 5th grade. And during this unit, students learn how to research a topic of their choice and become experts on that topic. The presentation portion, thank you, also builds our students' public speaking skills.
Thank you so much for bringing attention to this wonderful, very proud moment in our careers, and it's just a really feel-good day. So we collaborated with our librarian. Together, we gathered information from both print and digital sources for students to research from. We also collaborated with our technology integrator, where students created digital images where they used Canva, where they uploaded a photo of themselves into a background related to their research project.
Awesome.
So on our EdCamp presentation day, our fifth graders presented their trifolds that they created or Google Slides presentations. And they created those projects to really show their new learning and their expertise on their chosen topics. So we invited fourth graders from our elementary feeder schools, so from Forest and Maple West, to come and celebrate this day with us, along with, of course, parents and our mill staff. So really all together, we were celebrating the hard work and learning of our fifth graders. So we're so glad that you are able to, share in this, special learning of and hard work of our fifth graders. And you can enjoy, a video that was created of, the work that went behind it and on our EdCamp presentation day. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you.
Everybody's really excited. We've been working really hard for weeks.
EdCamp is the culminating piece of our Tackling Text Complexity unit, where students have learned all of the skills to use as researchers to study texts that are complex and become an expert on a topic. So this is their time to shine and really show all the knowledge that they gained in their research.
Basically what we did in the library is Mrs. Waddell showed us how to find the book that we wanted, and then you would just search up the topic that you wanted. I chose sea turtles because I think they're really cool animals. There are 7 different types of sea turtles, and the temperature of the sand when they're in eggs determines if they're going to be a boy or a girl.
Middle school in general, that's a huge shift coming from the elementary schools, is the choice. Giving them the ability to choose from animals to science to history to studying people is the motivating piece, because that made them want to become the expert, and it makes them even more excited now to highlight everything that they learned because it was a topic of interest to them. What we're practicing is how to teach well, how to speak clearly, how to use an appropriate voice level, how to make eye contact, and that skill is going to take them throughout the rest of their life.
Taylor Swift was born December 13th, 1989 in Western Pennsylvania. I like most about EdCamp is you could pick your own topic, and you could pick if you wanted to do a Google Slides or a trifold, and it turns out really, really fun.
Tomorrow's the day. We've got our fourth graders visiting and our parents visiting. They can't wait to see what you've done too. We really wanted as many opportunities as possible for fourth graders to come and visit fifth grade. I taught fourth grade for many years, and what we always noticed was that, throughout the year, kids would get more and more nervous about coming to fifth grade. So we decided, let's invite the Maple West and Forest fourth graders. They get a chance to come and see the building, come and see what fifth graders are doing, come and see what maybe they're gonna do again next year.
Everyone should learn as much as they can about different things. Last year when I was in fourth grade, I was amazed by how cool this is, that you just research as much as you can and get to create a cool project that you can show to everyone and help them understand stuff. For my EdCamp, I researched space. Our technology, it helps us better understand space. Telescope helped Galileo discover a bunch of stars. The spectroscope helped people figure out the composition of celestial bodies. And then the Mars rover has taken back many samples to help us just better understand Mars.
This project is really all about building community. It's become not just a fifth grade day welcoming the fourth graders and parents, but it really is all of Mill gets excited about it. Mill teachers and staff were invited to this as well. So everybody really cheers on these fifth graders and just the incredible research that they've done and just the hard work that they've put into this.
Awesome. Thank you, Principal McDuffie and the fifth grade ELA team at Mill. So as I said, you heard Bonsai Tree as you came in. In total, 15 Williamsville middle and high school students were selected to participate in the New York State Band Directors Association Honor Band Ensembles. Please welcome Jamie Pitnell, the district's Director of Art, Music, Business, and Family and Consumer Sciences, to share more on their selection.
Hello. Thank you so much, Dr. Brown Hall, our executive leadership team, and our Board of Education for having us tonight. It's always exciting when we have the opportunity to come together to celebrate the talent, creativity, and excellence found throughout the Williamsville Central School District. And tonight, we're very proud to recognize a group of truly exceptional young performers. As Dr. Brown Hall mentioned, this year we had 15 students from across our middle and high schools selected to perform at the New York State Band Directors Association Honor Bands, NSBDA for short, because we don't have enough acronyms. And it's really quite an outstanding accomplishment and a testament to their dedication and artistry that we get to see, we're lucky to see every day in our music classrooms. This past weekend, these students traveled to Syracuse for an intensive multi-day musical experience. Throughout the weekend, they got to participate in hours of rehearsals under the direction of distinguished guest conductors, while also collaborating with other top student performers from across New York State. The weekend ended with a final performance that showcased an impressive level of preparation, skill, and really professionalism that I would say is beyond their years, which we're very proud of. As you arrived this evening, as mentioned, you heard our students performing Bonsai Tree, as well as a couple extra selections from the evening. If you take the group that you saw back there and add maybe another 85 to 100, you probably have some of the sizes of those bands, if not more.
Wow.
So we were lucky. We had some pretty balanced instrumentation, but please join me just another round of applause for our performers tonight. Thank you guys so much for performing. Thank you to Mrs. Michelle Misevic for being here and helping organize that as well.
Thank you.
We're incredibly proud of our students and the hard work, discipline, and commitment that they demonstrated in preparing for this prestigious opportunity as well. Experiences like this not only highlight their artistic abilities, but also their perseverance, teamwork, and passion for the arts that they get to demonstrate every day in our schools and outside of our schools and in our community. I'd like to also take a moment to recognize our outstanding music teachers who guide and support our students every step of the way. Their dedication, expertise, and encouragement are instrumental, pun intended, in helping our students reach these levels of achievement. And it's because of our educators like them that our district continues to be recognized as one of the best communities in music education. When our students succeed, we all succeed, and their success is truly a community effort. That support begins at home, and we would also like to take a moment to thank our families for their continued encouragement, driving to all the lessons, the rehearsals, the concerts, the musicals, and Syracuse for the concert this past weekend. So a round of applause for our families. Kiddos, don't forget to thank your families. And we are also very grateful that the District and Board of Education for your unwavering support of our music program and the many opportunities that it provides our students, and for recognizing the important role the arts play in supporting the whole child. At this time, I would like to recognize each of our students. So when I call your name, please stand, and we can acknowledge and celebrate the remarkable achievements that they've shown us. And we are incredibly proud of each and every one of you. Clayton Best, Victoria Atanasov, Larson Epic, Carter Petrie, Henry Rauber, Ning Zhao, Yuhan Yan, Olivia Chang, Ali Cumbo, Ethan McMahon, Sophia Scanio, Alex Scanio, Ariana Scanio, Peyton Special Nelson, and Shumi Liu. Please join me again in congratulating our students. And at this time, would all the kids please come up and take a photo?
That's nice.
And I'd like to invite our music teachers who are here to come up as well and join us for that. So you guys come right on up over here.
Thank you very much. I turn it back over to you, Board President.
Thank you, Dr. Brown Hall. Are there any board acknowledgements this evening? I do not see any, so we will move on. We are on item number 4, public expression. I call on Parliamentarian Poulin to review our public expression format.
Welcome to all who have come to observe this regular board meeting. Per policy 1510, the board allows for up to 30 minutes for this first public expression period. This is a time when we invite members of our school community to share ideas, opinions, and concerns with us. While we are here to listen carefully and we take your concerns seriously, public comment is not designed to be a discussion. Therefore, please do not expect us to respond tonight. Instead, you will receive a response by email after our meeting. Because we want to maintain mutual respect and civility, please ensure that comments are delivered in a respectful manner to the board directly. Also, under state and federal privacy laws, we are unable to entertain any comments related to employee personnel information or any topic that may disclose information about a particular student. On these matters, we ask that you go through appropriate administrative channels. Please note that individuals are required to sign up prior to our meeting, and each speaker is allotted 3 minutes for comments. You'll be signaled at 2.5 minutes so that you may conclude your remarks. At this time, we will begin public comments. After I call on you, please step up to the podium and state your name. Jacob Wixom.
Good evening, members of the board, Dr. Brown Hall. My name is Jacob Wixom, and I'm a parent of a student in the district. I'm here tonight because student safety is our shared top priority, yet our current execution of policy 7560 regarding the notification of sex offenders on campus is failing. In recent correspondence, the board stated that the building administrators are familiar with this policy. I am here to tell you that this is factually incorrect. My direct interactions with school administration and local law enforcement have revealed a disturbing lack of awareness regarding the specifics of policy 7560 and how it is supposed to be applied. If the people charged with our children's safety do not know the rules effectively do not exist. I am happy to provide the specific dates and names of the interactions that led to this conclusion. Currently, policy 7560 grants the superintendent the discretionary right to notify parents and staff. The problem with discretion is that it creates a subjective safety net. Right now, the burden of safety is placed entirely on the parents. The district's current stance is to provide links on a website and expect families to manually cross-reference registries every day to know who has a child and at what school. This is a passive approach to a high-stakes issue. If a registered sex offender is granted written authorization to be on school grounds where our children learn, play, and eat, that information should not be hidden behind the superintendent's opinion of what has a need to know. Every parent and staff member has a need to know. As the committee reviews this policy this month, we are calling for 3 specific non-negotiable updates. The first is mandated transparency, to change the language from reserves the right to notify to shall notify. If a registered sex offender is authorized to be on campus for any reason, the stakeholders, including teachers, coaches, parents, must be proactively informed. Verified training and accountability is the second. Since current interactions prove administrators and law enforcement are not currently briefed, we require documented annual training for all staff and security. The last one is standardized authorization. We ask for a clear public protocol on how written authorization is vetted. It must be a rigorous safety assessment, not a rubber stamp formality. Transparency is not a threat to the law. It is a fulfillment of your duty to protect the student body. We are not asking for the district to do the impossible. We are asking you to close the gap between what you say your administrators know and what they actually know.
Thank you. Kelly Wixom.
Good evening, members of the board. I am speaking on behalf of Christine Yang, who couldn't be here today. Also regarding the district policies concerning registered sex offenders on school property, specifically policy 7560, which addresses notification procedures under New York State Sex Offender Registration Act. While the policy outlines how the district receives information from law enforcement, many parents in our community are concerned that it does not go far enough to provide clear safeguards when it comes to the presence of registered offenders on our school grounds. Importantly, New York law gives school districts the authority to adopt stronger safety measures. Under New York Education Law 2801, districts are responsible for maintaining codes of conduct and regulating behavior and access on school property in order to protect students. In other words, state law establishes minimum requirements, but local districts retain the authority to set stricter rules when it comes to campus safety. With that in mind, I would ask the board to consider strengthening district policy in several ways. First, the district should adopt a clear presumption that registered sex offenders are not permitted on school campuses except in limited circumstances, such as when they must attend an event involving their own child. Second, if an offender is permitted on school property, the district should implement mandatory safeguards. These should include advanced administrative approval, former check-in procedures, and continuous escorts by staff or security while the individual is on campus. Third, parents and guardians deserve transparency. If a registered offender will be present at a school event or activity, parents should know and receive information so that they can make informed decisions about their child's participation. Finally, registered sex offenders should not be permitted to volunteer in classrooms, participate in school activities involving children, or serve in roles that place them in close proximity to students. Beyond policy language, this is also about community standards. Individuals who have harmed children should not expect to move through our schools and community in comfort or anonymity. Protecting children requires awareness and vigilance. We should be shining lights on risks, not obscuring them. Children walk into school every day believing it is a safe place. Parents send them there trusting that the adults responsible for our schools are doing everything possible to keep them safe. When policies are unclear or safeguards are not in place, that trust is weakened. Strengthening these rules would not conflict with state law. It would simply use the authority already available to this district to establish clearer expectations, stronger safeguards, and greater transparency for families. For that reason, I respectfully ask the board to refer this issue to the district's policy committee for formal review and place a discussion of potential updates to policy 7560 on the future board agenda. Our responsibility is first and foremost to the safety of children in our care, and I urge the board to take this opportunity to strengthen these policies so our school truly reflects that priority. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Paul.
Hi, my name is Paul. Good evening. My child is a student in the district, though he has been excluded from school since November. He has a complex medical history, and because of that, his physician issued a medical exemption. A New York State Supreme Court judge reviewed the full record and ruled in January that his exemption is valid and that he should be allowed in school. Despite that ruling, this district has chosen to keep him out pending appeal. I want to be direct. The judge explicitly determined that our son is not a public health risk. That finding should be enough for this district to allow him back into school now. The district should have been happy that they can legally allow a medically fragile student back to active learning amongst his peers. The district has covered its bases. You have supported your administration. You did your due diligence to be sure that our son, by the law, should be allowed in school. That was answered with a yes in January, yet the district continues to exclude him pending appeal. The district is choosing to rely on CPLR 5519, the automatic stay available to government entities. Let me be clear, this stay is not a court mandate. It is not a judicial order. It is a choice you are making. You have the authority to permit him to attend while the appeal is underway. If our child were enrolled in private school today, he would already be back in class. Private institutions must follow the same immunization regulations, but unlike this district, they cannot use the automatic stay to keep a child out of school for the better part of a year while waiting for an appeal. This is not an anti-vax debate. Our son is fully vaccinated except for the Tdap booster. The Tdap booster does not prevent transmission. There is no pertussis or diphtheria outbreak in Erie County. Tetanus is not spread person to person. Medical exemptions are intended for all kids like our son. Teachers, staff, and coaches are not required to be up to date on this booster. Yet our son, who has received Tdap 5 years ago, is being treated as though he is uniquely dangerous without any evidence to support that claim. The district is aware the appeal is scheduled for the October 2026 term. By choosing to invoke the automatic stay, you are knowingly denying him meaningful in-person education for all of 6th grade and much of 7th grade. For a medically fragile child, this is not a minor inconvenience. It is a profound disruption to his education, his mental health, and his connection to his peers. The district has a right to appeal, but that strategy should not come at the cost of a child's right to be educated while the appeal proceeds. You have the discretion, you have the authority, you can correct this today. I'm asking this board to do what is right, what is lawful, and what is humane, and allow our son back into school pending appeal. Thank you.
Thank you. Crystal?
Members of the board, I want to ask a simple question. Is the board aware the lack of education occurring while my child is barred from school? My child has a 504 plan, and we have repeatedly shared our struggles with the district and asked for educational support. However, we have been told that teachers are not allowed to provide direct instruction, remote learning, or even administer tests while he is home. In fact, we were told if we don't like it, we can always homeschool him. Is that really the district's only solution? The teachers' hands are tied. They want to help, but they have shared that in-class instruction cannot be replicated. We as parents cannot replace trained educators or the classroom environment. As a result, my child has not taken a single test or assessment since October. If we were asked to have him take a test today, he would fail. Not because he lacks ability, but because he has not been given the opportunity to learn or demonstrate what he knows. This is especially concerning because my child was previously an honor roll student. Assessments are meant to measure understanding, identify learning gaps, and help teachers and parents support a student's academic progress. Without them, there is no true meaning of learning. My child is also being exempt from most assignments. In one of his core classes, my child received an 87 last quarter, despite not being given a single assignment, a single test, or a single project to complete. That raises an important question. Why is he being exempt from most of his work instead of being taught? It's not because of lack of interest or effort from my child, his teachers, or us as parents. Worksheets alone are not an education. My child has not heard his teachers' voices since October. Teachers have not been allowed to provide him direct instruction, engage him in discussion, or help him complete or understand complex concepts. Beyond academics, he is missing critical peer interaction, teamwork, and daily support teachers provide when they see a student struggling. The longer this continues, the greater impact on both his education and his well-being. My husband and I both work full-time, and we both work second jobs. I am sharing this because we aren't a family that is already home, and we don't have money to burn. He cannot get the vaccine, and we are doing everything we can to support our child. My child did not choose to have these medical conditions. His medical exemption has already been deemed valid by a Supreme Court judge. There is no evidence that he's a public health risk. School staff are not required to receive the Tdap booster, and there is no court order requiring him to be barred from school while this appeal process continues. For all these reasons, at-home instruction is clearly not providing my child with meaningful education, and the district knows it. So I ask the board, why is the school choosing to restrict my child access to a meaningful education while also barring him from the classroom? I respectfully ask the board to review this decision and do the right thing by allowing my child to return to school in person while the process continues. Every student deserves access to
Your
a
time is
meaningful
up.
education. Thank you.
Kara Pomeroy.
Hello, I'm here to act as an advocate for an individual whose voice has not been heard or responded to. My niece is a senior at AIM, which is
You cannot speak about any students, provide any information about a student unless it's your own child. I'm sorry, or you're the guardian.
I'm a guardian, so
Okay.
I'm going to continue. Thank you.
I just wanted to be clear.
That's okay. Will you give me my time back for those couple seconds?
Sure.
Sounds good. Thank you so much. So my niece is a student at AIM in North, and due to various medical reasons, she was required to have a service animal. Her dog, Bentley, who is a registered service animal, was approved by the school district to accompany her to school. According to the school, there was a plan put in place that would have my niece leave class early to allow enough time for her to move through the hallways without a large masses of students during passing time. This was for the safety of my niece, her dog, and all other students. The plan failed to specify how many minutes my niece needed to leave early from her class, but only indicated she needed to leave with enough time to move from one class to another before passing time bell rang and other students entered the hall.
Thank you very much. We're going to stop you right now. You are not the guardian, and I just verified. Please have a seat. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Okay, so that is the end of our expression period. There is no one else on the agenda tonight. I just wanted to make some folks aware, there was some speakers this evening about policy 7560. Our Board of Education Policy Committee will be meeting on March 31st to review that policy. Our current policy is in line with state law, and our district's Megan Law webpage is linked to the Amherst Police Department Sex Offender webpage, which lists offenders and the required information. We will be consulting with our attorneys to ensure there are no additional steps we should be taking. And we'll be discussing this at the March 31st meeting. So thank you. And we are moving on to item 4B. Dr. Brown Hall, I turn it over to you to introduce the presentation from Erie One BOCES.
Thank you very much, Board President. I apologize, board members and our community that has come this evening for that outburst. I sincerely apologize. We are very excited and happy this evening to have our district superintendent, Dr. Mike Capuana, who is our BOCES superintendent, in attendance this evening. He will be giving a presentation about BOCES, the services that BOCES offers and that we participate in, and also the BOCES special education expansion. I'll turn it over to Dr. Capuana.
Good evening, Board of Education and Dr. Brown Hall and leadership team here at Williamsville. Thank you for the opportunity to be here and present some updates on our partnership. I look forward to giving you some highlights of the work that we're doing as an extension of your school district, but then also talk a little bit about some of the regional reform and state reform work that we are partnering with Williamsville and our component districts on. So I'll start with a little bit about Erie One BOCES, just to set the table. As an organization, we're an extension of your school system. We partner with the 19 districts across Erie County, and our school partners in Buffalo Public School as a Big Five district. We have such a variety of services, all of that driven by BOCES aid and the ability for school systems in different areas of the operation to be able to access student programming at the K-12 level, our administrative and operational services, and the Regional Information Center and Technology Services. We as a BOCES also have a Board of Education, 7 members, which represent our component districts across the region. And in the role as the district superintendent, I also have the privilege to serve as the commissioner's representative to the field here in Western New York. For the organization, We're really structured into 3 branches. That starts with our administrative services, focusing on all of the kind of back office support services for school districts, labor relations, communications. The Regional Information Center, Erie 1, is proud to host one of 12 RICs in New York State. Our RIC actually serves 100 school districts across Erie, Niagara, Orleans, and CA BOCES area. And that is everything from networking to connectivity to cybersecurity service and all kinds of applications that educators and students take advantage of every day in our classrooms. And then finally, our instructional services program, everything from our career and technical education programs to our exceptional education, which includes special education and alternative ed, and then workforce development. We train roughly 2,000 adults across Western New York annually in both part-time and full-time programs. So in working with Dr. Brown Hall to prepare for this evening's presentation, wanting to make sure that I was able to cover some areas of interest, and starting with particularly career and technical education. So you'll see there the breakdown of students from Williamsville by our now 4 campuses in CTE. The most popular programs for students from Williamsville are the Health Careers Program, which leads to a CNA credential, the Culinary Arts, Animal Sciences, and Criminal Justice. Ty on the right-hand side up there is one of our students in the Sports Science Career Program over at the Kenton Center. And in addition to that, I wanted to just highlight one student in particular in addition to Ty. So in the upcoming edition of NYSBA, you may be aware, and we're excited about, there's going to be a highlight on Otto Borden, who is a senior at Williamsville South High School. And Otto's a student in our electronics and applied technology program at the Harkness Center. So Otto was nominated to be featured in the upcoming edition of Onboard, which focuses on his innovations around engagement and achievement. So Otto has taken an ambitious engineering challenge, building a 3D printed visorless helmet that allows the wearer to see through a fully enclosed face mask. The custom-built helmet integrates a digital display screen, a camera, a Raspberry Pi computer, and a mobile power supply. The system streams live video from the camera to the internal display, effectively restoring visibility inside the opaque mask. In addition, Otto's work extends beyond his individual project here. He also partnered with our Erie BOCES P-Tech program, BUILD, which is focused on construction trades areas, to help develop a do-it-yourself computer-controlled router for the building trades class. The undertaking was made more complex by the lack of existing documentation. And according to his instructor, Otto's a great example of a titan in the making. His generation and the next big innovation that shapes our lives could very well come from him. So much to be proud of there.
Absolutely.
In terms of the CTE programs and enrollment in those programs, career and technical education is very popular across the state. And of course, with the New York Inspires Pathways to Graduation is a great opportunity for school systems to take advantage of those programs. So for the process of enrolling, districts annually recommend students for the CTE programs. The team at Erie 1 then takes all of those applications and applies a percentage-based formula to distribute the seats among the districts based on student interest, program, and the different centers. The district determines which students will fill those allotted seats. So we come back to the school system to work with your high school counselors and make sure that that alignment is there. And then remaining recommended students are ranked by the district for any wait list situations that we have. The CTE office works really collaboratively with your guidance counselors and your high school principals. I will say that the CalSpan Center, that addition of that 4th center for us, has alleviated much of the wait lists as we're able to open additional seats at the Potter, Harkness, and Kenton centers. In terms of exceptional education, I'll just share the enrollment numbers for the district there, so you will see by our different programs and centers in exceptional education, the programs that students are attending. And I'm going to talk a little bit more specifically about our expansion project. So we are really excited, and I would just want to make sure to say thank you to the Board of Education, to the Williamsville school community for supporting this project. We have all 19 of our school districts contributing to the development of this new campus. We are building a school, and that school is set to open in September of 2027. This is going to be more than just a school building. It is really designed to be a unique learning space for students from all across Western New York with different learning needs and exceptionalities. And we're designing that space with research-based design elements and with our partners at Buffalo Construction Consultants and Benderson Development to develop the space out. We're also adding capacity at this new campus. So we will be serving really an additional up to 180 students across the region. So we are taking our roughly 350 students from our different campuses across Erie 1, bringing them to one site with all of our faculty and staff, and then opening up seats for additional programs. There will be 75 classrooms on the campus. And just to feature some of the build out so you can see what's coming together, in addition to the classrooms, we're going to have a town square concept in the center of the building where you'll see some of the design elements. We're going to have multiple cafeterias, both a larger cafeteria and some smaller cafeteria spaces, because we know that our students benefit from that smaller environment at times. There's going to be a marketplace where students will earn the ability to have privileges to access that and treats and different things for the classes individually. And then actually a clothing boutique as well, which will be staffed by our students from the different programs there. The campus is not only going to serve our exceptional education students, we will also have CTE programs embedded. So our early childhood education programs will be on site there. We're also adding a classroom space for our education pathways students who are high school seniors in partnership with Buffalo State interested in education, and all alternative education programs. I'm happy to say that construction is well underway. So this new campus will be on the corner of Dick and Walden in the Depew School District region. We worked very closely with the superintendents to make sure that we were centralizing that location and able to deliver on what is a demand for additional programming. Across our 19 districts, classifications of students with disabilities in the last 10 years has gone up 14%. We now have upwards of 55 school districts referring students to our programs at Erie 1 for exceptional education. And I would just share at the end, there's a link there. So if you have some time to take a look, there's a full website and a video and all kinds of information and construction updates. Shifting gears, two last updates. One is on the regionalization plan. So we're proud to say that all 19 school districts and our partners at Buffalo Public have agreed to the regionalization work to continue. And that is just that, a conversation that we are moving forward on behalf of Western New York schools. So we submitted our final plan to the Commissioner of Education this past October with feedback and multiple sessions with school district leadership teams, board members to develop those priorities. The specific priorities identified by the 19 school districts. One is graduation measures, and New York Inspires, taking that pathway work that needs to happen and centralizing that in our conversation. The second is tackling chronic absenteeism and social emotional learning. I'm going to focus on out of school opportunities. A lot of this conversation has been about what happens in school, but we know that it's really important to have that out of school opportunity maximized for our students across communities. So how do we do that as a network here in Western New York? The fourth is focusing on transportation, which we know is a continuing challenge and cost increase for school systems. How can we be more efficient and innovate in that space together? And then the fifth is looking at the analysis of course offerings and barriers to equity. So how we can ensure that students across, regardless of the school district that you're coming from, have access to high quality courses that are differentiated based on student interest and college and career readiness. There are some advocacy pieces built into this plan. So thankfully, the Commissioner and the Board of Regents have asked us for what else would you want and need in order to move the work forward. We've identified regional transportation innovation and funding and resources for that work, supporting family support centers across the state and our region specifically, teacher and leader and educator certification as we are working through challenges with pipeline in those areas. And then finally, evaluating extracurricular and community, support opportunities for the out of school time. And then finally, New York Inspires. And so the graduation measures work, which is well underway here in Williamsville and across the region and state. In unpacking that, of course, you're familiar with the different critical areas that the Board of Regents have identified that we should be preparing our students for. And more specifically, I would just share what we are doing currently. Williamsville has been participating in the this year's New York State Civic Readiness Consortium group. In addition to that, exploring and implementing in the individual arts assessment pathway options for students. And then finally, in-district technology pilots on a variety of levels. In addition to that, we are preparing for next year's rollout already. So those meetings have started with the school systems to look at how can you participate, and we're making sure that we're focusing on project-based learning and assessment, thinking about student choice, preparing our teachers and our school counselors for readiness for this work. I feel very confident that there's going to be a wide range of choice for school systems across New York State. But at the same time, that can present a challenge in the sense that we like to know what are kind of the rules of the game so that we can play by those rules. And so we are working very closely with State Ed to push for guidance and resources and partnering around that. I expect that you will see some regulatory reforms coming in the next few months. And then in addition to that, from the technology side of the house, we're working with developing RFPs for some of the technology platforms that will be necessary for the school systems to adopt these shifts. Things like, how do school counselors track a student's coursework if they change systems, or through that and credentialing and making sure that we are having all the opportunities documented so that students can take advantage into college and career. And with that, I'm happy to take any questions or comments.
Thank you very much, Dr. Capuana. Any questions, board members?
No, I just want to thank you for this overview and specifically for your discussion there at the end about Portrait of a Graduate and those initiatives. I appreciate Erie One BOCES support, and any guidance we can get from the state sooner rather than later would be much appreciated.
We've heard that. Yes,
Yes, I know you have.
Continuing to push. Yes.
Thank you so much.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Capuana. Have a good evening. May I continue? Thank you very much. Our next presentation deals with student outcomes. We provide a presentation to the board because we know the Board of Education's one of their primary roles is to ensure that our students are achieving and that you are receiving that information so that you can accurately monitor that. So Dr. Balin, who is our Chief Academic Officer, our Assistant Superintendent of Curriculum Assessment and Instruction, will be presenting our student achievement outcomes. Dr. Balin?
Thank you so much, Dr. Brown-Hall, and thank you, Dr. Capuana. Actually, the presentation that Dr. Capuana just gave is a wonderful segue into the information we're going to share this evening. Dr. McGinley is going to assist me by forwarding the slide, so thank you, Dr. McGinley. Good evening, Board of Education and members of our school community. Dr. Brown-Hall and I are pleased to share information with you this evening as part of our annual agenda. Information reflected was made possible tonight through efforts of district administrative colleagues, and we are grateful to them for their contributions. Tonight's presentation includes review of assessment philosophy and approaches, annual student achievement outcomes, including New York State 3-8 testing information, high school regents exams and graduation outcomes, computer-based testing, supports and student opportunities, as well as an appendix with supporting information, particularly as it relates to assessment types, as well as additional graduation data. In addition to this evening's live presentation, this presentation is also made available on board docs. Next slide, please. Next slide. A cycle of assessment, analysis, and action is reflected on this slide. Assessment and data analysis in Williamsville are part of a comprehensive system. Reliance is not on any one assessment or score. What is utilized is an encompassing and dynamic approach with diagnostic, formative, and summative components. We've included the various types of data and their purposes in the appendix to this presentation. Assessments from a systems perspective includes numerous qualitative and quantitative measures. This provides greater context and affords the most beneficial in-depth information about student performance, progress, and achievement. We recognize that no one assessment or data point is used in isolation or a sole determination of a student's learning. However, All data points are important and serve as the basis for meeting student needs through differentiation and personalized learning. An effective system focuses on growth and achievement. The delivery of instruction or model of teaching and learning is informed or driven by information gathering and acting on the data, responsiveness to each unique learner. Teachers gather and examine data, highlighting students' strengths and addressing areas of emphasis, monitoring progress, and individualizing learning. Next slide, please. Next one. The outcomes in this presentation are largely based on state summative data. Grade level participation rates are reflected for the state and district level on this slide. This offers a macro and the most general view and is inclusive only of those participating in this assessment. As a reminder, New York State allows parents and guardians the option to decide if their children will or will not participate in these 3 through 8 assessments. A note regarding 8th grade. Grade 8 students who take high school level math and ELA in middle school are not double tested and therefore do not take the grade 8 ELA and math tests. Of the remainder of 8th grade students, parents also have the right not to have their children participate in the grade 8 ELA and math tests. Next slide, please. As Dr. Capuano alluded to, and I will share this a little bit, we have some links in here. So I would encourage anyone who's watching this evening or referencing board docs to please check out the links. We're not going to open them this evening, so we're going to move swiftly through our presentation. So results for the 3 through 8 testing were released in December 2025. This link provides access to the New York State Education Department information. Next slide, please. Regarding proficiency levels, our students and school results have demonstrated consistency with regard to positive performance outcomes, and they continue to rank among the highest regionally and in comparison to the state. Assessment levels are reflected on this slide, as you can see, level 1, level 2, level 3, and level 4. Level 1 indicates well below, level 2 partially proficient, level 3 proficient, and level 4 more than proficient. As far as our students' performance is concerned, in levels 3 through 4, you can see that gains were made in grades 3 ELA and math, grade 4 ELA math, grade 5 ELA, grade 6 math, grade 7 ELA and math, and grade 8 ELA, just to name a few. The next 2 slides have subgroup information. This information is also provided publicly on the New York State Education Department slide. It is important to note that group sizes range and students may and are often included in one or more subgroups based on information that is self-reported. Group sizes are as small as 0, and a number can be a single digit while others are larger. Asterisks are used to indicate that the number is too small for calculation. Here you can see that for our state and district, students are performing at the highest levels 3 and 4 for grades tested 3 through 5. The next slide is the same type of information for grades 6 through 8. Next slide, please. As a part of the presentation, we have included a slide on computer-based testing. New York State schools and districts, including ours, have fully transitioned to CBT. Like past years, Williamsville will use WITS to collect participation information. Sending letter to the building principal is no longer necessary. On February 25th, a notice automatically appeared in parents' WITS accounts prompting a response for participation, yes or no, for each assessment by March 13th. If a response is not confirmed, the district will plan to administer the assessments to the children. There are no consequences for a child who does not participate in a New York State 3 through 8 ELA, math, or science assessment. In accordance with New York State guidance, accommodations may be available for students with an individualized education program, IEP, and English language learners during New York State assessments. For specific details regarding individual children, we encourage parents or guardians to consult their school to discuss if and how these may apply. Next slide, please. Next are student outcomes for Regents exams taken in June of 2025. Passing and mastery rates are included as our state level results on this and the next slide. Next slide, please. This continues the Regents testing for June 2025. The New York State Education Department site includes this information as well as additional data. It is noteworthy that New York State has continued to refine their own assessments, including assessments in math, science, and ELA. For the purposes of developing state scores, a number of processes are enacted as a result of this. This includes early administration, score collection, and standard setting. This process involves establishing test scores that represent performance levels and establishing cut scores for classification into each of the performance levels. Next slide, please.
Summative information and a historical view is seen here for the past 5 years. Graduation rates with advanced designation in parentheses are shown on this slide. Next slide, please. The next 2 slides also reflect graduation rates along with different diploma and credentials. New York State defines the types and requirements for each. Next slide. This slide represents students who met graduation requirements in 4 years. The figures in the chart above represent the 4-year outcome for a 9th grade cohort, 2021 year cohort through August. Students who complete the requirement or who earn a diploma in a period outside of the cohort or in longer than a 4-year period are not represented. A note for clarity has also been added to the bottom. It is noteworthy that 28 students continue to be enrolled as compared to last year where 14 students remain enrolled. Filters on the New York State public data site also include other important figures and cohort information. These include 5 and 6 year results. We have depicted this information in the chart format and included this additional 5 and 6 year cohort information on the slides in the presentation addendum. These charts reflect the positive impact on our students when they are provided the additional time necessary to complete their graduation requirements. This is evident in the subgroup totals for students with disabilities as well as all students. Efforts also continue. It is anticipated that through targeted professional development on co-teaching and specially designed instruction, these will impact rates and work towards the achievement of our special education strategic plan goals that focus on improving graduation rates for students with disabilities over time. In addition, the addition of teachers on special assignment for special education will assist in further enhancing the co-teaching model. Next slide, please. Advanced placement and college level coursework continue to thrive in Williamsville. This is evidence in exam participation as well as results. I am also pleased to share that our high school course catalogs released this winter reflected a new course option for next school year, AP Business and Personal Finance. The last section included in tonight's presentation addresses student support and opportunities. Numerous college credit options continue to be afforded to students. Descriptions for these opportunities and detailed information can be found with the course information in the high school course catalogs available on our district website on the respective pages for each of our 3 high schools. Information can also be found on the district website devoted to advanced coursework opportunities, along with a letter that we send each spring to parents and guardians of students at the middle and high school levels. There's extensive information on what the district provides beginning at middle school and continuing through high school. Next slide, please. The Office of Instruction and the Office of Exceptional Education and Student Services have partnered along with building principals to update and standardize the CST or support process for students. This has included updating the name of the process to MTSS to align it with New York State Education Department terminology, as well as piloting a digital repository that supports its implementation. Initially, 7 buildings began the pilot at the beginning of the 2025-26 school year. The remaining 6 were added to the pilot in March. These efforts allow for intensive analysis through an electronic customized system that can assist with effective implementation of the multiple tiered system of support process from grades K through 12. Included here are goals for students along with bullets reflective of New York State Education Department's portrait of a graduate. We are excited to provide information on this vision and initiative moving forward, including the release of the district's portrait of a graduate video. Last, we have included a link to the New York State Education Department website announcing the state's launch of their transformative plan, along with the implementation of the Blue Ribbon Commission findings regarding graduation measures. And while we won't go through it, I just wanted to highlight the appendix is here at the end of the presentation. The next several slides include the appendix mentioned. This is helpful information on assessment types as well as slides with the 5 and 6 year graduation outcomes. All of this will be on our district website and is available through board docs. And with that, provides the conclusion to our presentation. I wish to thank the board and Dr. Brown Hall for the time and opportunity this evening to share this information. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Bellin, and thank you very much, Dr. McGinley, for assisting. Very thorough. All the information is in board docs, and I would encourage everyone to also look at the appendix for additional information and additional charts, because there's a lot of additional information there. and the links that Dr. Bellin has placed in there, because you can really go to the state website and see a lot of the detail that's available about our student success. What questions might you have, board members?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Bellin. So I'm encouraged of your plan to address I'm looking at the pages aren't numbered, so pardon me while I scroll through. It is the slide called graduation grades by subgroup. It starts at 2021.
17.
Where did you see that?
Page 17.
Okay, I didn't see that. Thank you.
It's page 16.
Oh, so, I'm sorry.
Thank you. I'm encouraged that you have a plan, but I'm confused when I look at, the students with disabilities in the years 2021 at 67%, 79, 74, 64. Then I scroll down to the 6-year outcomes as of June 25 by subgroup. That group, students with disabilities, is 85%. Can you explain why the difference is?
So thank you for the question, and I'll invite anyone to Mr. Scanzuzzo or Dr. Brown Hall, if you'd like to jump in, please do so. So the reason we included those is our first initial slide on 16 is a 4-year cohort. So that aims, and what the state is pulling there is a 4-year cohort model. That does not, however, capture students who finish their diploma requirements in more than 4 years. And we do have a number of students, and that's something that's afforded through many channels, who stay longer than 4 years and finish and actually earn a diploma in 5 or 6 years. As all of you are aware, we have many students who stay beyond the 4-year model. So unfortunately, while the first chart doesn't include that, the state does release, and you can actually search quite a bit on their website through that filter that I mentioned. You actually can also locate the 5 and 6 year model. There are also students that earn the CDOS credential and other types of diplomas. So we wanted to make sure all of that was out there, because that very first chart only includes any student who completes requirements within that full 4-year model.
And we know that many of our students with disabilities, they are allowed to stay and be educated in the district until the age of 22. So with that, we want to actually show that many of those students do graduate, do receive their diploma. And that's why you see an increase in graduation.
Thank you for that information. I guess my follow-up is, how do this group, specifically students with disabilities, if benchmark with other like districts in the area?
I don't have that information with us this evening. That's certainly something we can look into gathering. They do that, but we don't have that as part of this evening's presentation.
Thank you for the information.
You're welcome.
I'd just like to say that we have a very large contingency of students with disabilities compared to other neighboring school districts. So we do better against some school districts that are closer to our size, and then those that are much smaller, their statistics may seem like they're better than ours because there's fewer students that they can have more attention on getting them through, and having success rates that are a little higher than ours.
And one question that was asked previously, I know, was looking at the number of students as opposed to the percentage. And if you look at the number of students year over year, it is the same, but our denominator increased with the number of students who are classified as students with disabilities. So we are graduating the same number, but we have to make sure it increases the overall percentage.
I'd like to also note on slide 16, we put the note at the bottom of what our number comprises. Besides the students who stay for longer than a 4-year period, we do have a number of students who are earning a Regents diploma, as well as ones with advanced designation. I think that's also noteworthy.
Board Member Buellin.
I also have a question
Sorry,
about
Board President. I know that's your
what Mark Manna had about the students with disabilities. The graduation rate, do you think it's just the cohort of the individual kids? Because there's a lot of variance. And is that just, do you just stock that up to the variance, or the services offered by the district?
They're simply, from a state perspective, what they're doing is using a certain defined period of time, and that's when they're grabbing the information. So that's why I think it is helpful that we do have the 5 and 6 year charts to account for the longer programmatic components, but that's squarely just a metric that they're using.
Thank you.
Thank you, board members, for your questions. I will turn it back over to you, Board President.
Wonderful. Thank you. We are now on item 5, May I have a motion to recess the regular board meeting to conduct our budget work session? Ms. Flesch, Mr. Manna, all in favor? Motion carried unanimously. I call the budget work session to order. Dr. Brown Hall, I turn it over to you to introduce the budget development presentation. We are on the budget development presentation.
Thank you very much, Board President. Just like high school, I get distracted easily. I apologize. So we are very, very fortunate to have our acting assistant superintendent, Dr. McGinley, here to present where our current budget stands right now. And so I am going to turn it over to acting assistant superintendent, Dr. McGinley, and then we'll be able to answer any questions that board members or our community have regarding the budget. Some items will look similar to the presentation that was done on February 10th, and then some items will look a little different because Dr. McGinley has done a lot of work day and night on the budget to bring you a budget in this shape and form right now. Dr. McGinley?
Great. Thank you, Dr. Brown Hall, and thank you, board. So at this time, we're going to provide the third update to our budget development process. So in January and February, we saw this slide, which included those items where we'll likely see the most significant cost increases to sustain our current programs. There have been no changes, but I'll briefly outline them again for those who may not be familiar. So on the left side with the yellow heading is the budget development for the 26-27 school year. And on the right side with the blue heading are the projections of the increases seen this year and their future impact of continuing programming into the 27-28 school year. I just want to point out that in the blue section, this is not the section we're developing out in the budget development process. These numbers could change next year, but right now we're really focusing on the left side. Going back to the top of the left side then in the yellow, we start with our current budget of $242,719,867. And below that are the areas where, like I mentioned, we'll see the most significant cost increases to sustain our current programs. You'll note also that we've categorized these into mandated, contractual, inflation-driven, and last is to support program. I do want to note that our BOCES number is not finalized yet. These expenses are associated with supporting direct student programs, occupational education programs, and administrative items, including purchasing instructional technologies. So all of these increases right now total $8,763,108, or a 3.61% increase, and an initial budget of $251,482,975. Moving to the next slide are our program enhancements as they relate to the special education services, which we've seen previously and remain unchanged at $300,000 since February. So now this slide has been updated. So this is where we see our reductions. At our last meeting, we saw that we had a deficit and needed a balance. So we had to revisit some places. And we've identified some of these reductions to balance the budget here. And I'll outline them. So at the last meeting, we discussed making reductions as far away from classroom programming as possible. And we were able to accomplish this through several areas. We were already aware of the reduction to the learning lab TOSAs of $525,000. In addition, we finalized our retirement numbers last week, which resulted in approximately $585,000 in savings. As expected, we didn't see a significant number of retirements, so we needed to identify additional areas for reductions. These included lowering our equipment budget and reducing APPR expenses that had been previously budgeted. Even after these adjustments, we still needed to identify approximately $2.5 million in additional reductions. And as part of our normal budget development process, we closely evaluate the historical performance of each budget code. And through this year's analysis, we were able to identify several codes where reductions could be made. So while these reductions help us close that remaining gap, they do reduce our planned fund balance. And as you know, fund balance is essential. It essentially serves as the district's ability to manage short-term budget challenges, such as unexpected costs, revenue fluctuations, or emergencies during the school year. So when we look at the entire budget, including our continuations, enhancements, and updated reductions, the bottom yellow section shows the adjusted budget increase is now $5,227,529, or a 2.15% budget-to-budget increase. This compares to the approximately $8.5 million increase that we started with that we saw in February, which was a 3.52% increase. So in other words, the proposed increase has resulted in a total working budget now of $247,947,396. And as we'll see in the upcoming slides, this expense increase aligns with our projected revenues, giving us a balanced working budget. So I'll briefly go through these slides again. I know we took a look at revenues last time, and remember that revenues often dictate expenses. And last meeting, we explored how our revenue in state aid is minimally increasing. So I began by showing this slide, which outlines our current year's budgeted state aid revenues versus our actual aid we're receiving. As we saw last time, while several of these categories fluctuated due to adjustments by the state and actual expenses, the total state aid received is $76,691 more than what we budgeted, which is effectively right on budget for us. Looking here, if we return to this slide again that we saw last month, we noted that the governor's January state aid projection for 2026-27 was estimated at $74,056,068. This compares to the $72,022,458 in the governor's run report from 2025-26, representing an increase of $2,033,610. But it's important to remember that included in this run are the UPK aid numbers, and UPK aid is not part of our general fund, so we must remove it when we see what the maximum impact to our general fund is. So after we removed the UPK increase, our net maximum state aid increase prior to adjustments, as we just saw on the previous slide that we'll need to do, is $652,370, which is highlighted in yellow. In the bottom section of this table, we can see the calculation of the governor's state aid estimate with UPK removed, giving us a total maximum state aid estimate of $70,666,068. So this slide examines next year's proposed state aid. So at the bottom of the left column, we see that maximum state aid estimate carry over from the previous slide, that $70,666,068. This slide is similar to the one that we reviewed 2 slides ago, where we highlighted the importance that we have to carefully analyze each state aid category and adjust our projections to reflect what we realistically expect to receive. These projections have all remained the same since last month, with the exception of building aid. So after completing a building aid analysis with state ed over the past month, we were able to identify an additional $250,000 in building aid that we can recognize. As a result, the total projected state aid now shown in the blue box at the bottom of the middle column is $70,321,418, which is $250,000 higher than what we presented in February. However, when we compare this projected total of that $70,321,418 to the current year's state aid, it represents an increase of only $404,880, which is less than a 0.5% increase in state aid revenue. So the other major revenue source that we must consider is the tax levy. We saw this slide last time, and since then we were able to apply a portion of that additional building aid to further reduce the proposed tax levy increase to 2.99%. This places us $221,448 below the tax cap, and which you can see in the bottom blue portion of this matrix. When we bring all of the revenue sources together and look specifically at the middle blue column, which represents the budget we are currently developing for next year, at the bottom of the chart, our total projected revenues of $247,947,396 match our total projected expenditures of the same, resulting in our balanced budget. In the blue dashed outline, we can see the projected actual state aid of $70,321,418 that we reviewed on the previous slide. If we look at the white column to the right, we see the difference between our current budget and next year's budget in all categories. You can see that even though we were able to recognize an increase of $250,000 in building state aid, our overall building state aid is down by about $1.7 million, making our net state aid increase that $404,884 I mentioned, or that less than 0.5% increase from the prior year. As previously mentioned, this is significantly lower than the roughly $2 million that was conveyed in the governor's budget. But as we also saw, much of the increase was for UPK, which has no bearing on our general fund. That said, moving down the white column, we see a reduction in our pilots, and we are expecting an increase in our interest earnings, along with a few other minimal adjustments that were the same as February. So we've also kept the appropriated fund balance of $3,750,000 to help us balance our budget. So in summary, we have a 2.15% budget to budget increase from last year and a balanced working budget of $247,947,396. Our proposed tax levy is $152,851,128, or a 2.99% increase from the prior year, which is $221,448 below the maximum tax cap that we see there, which could be $153,072,576. I've noted a few considerations as we continue to monitor and revise this working budget for our March 24th meeting. On the positive side, there's still the potential for added state aid. However, historically, there have been very minimal increases at this point. It's also important to note that even if the state provides an increase to districts, it's possible we do not see any increase since it's based on state aid formulas. However, if any increases are projected, we need to evaluate additional cost pressures, which include an anticipated increase in our BOCES budget and rising fuel and energy costs. Additionally, if no additional aid is received and there are increases in the BOCES budget, we may need to find further reductions in the budget and/or consider the possibility think the proposed tax levy by that $221,448. That is all.
If you can leave it on here for a moment, because it's something that I do want to bring attention to the board. We have historically, and I know we've made it a point to keep the proposed tax levy below 3%. And this year we went right up to 2.99%, but we still have money that is left on the table. We are able to go to the maximum tax cap of 3.14%, and that will help us when we look at the BOCES budget that we do not have currently yet, because we do anticipate an increase there, and it would help us plan for our fund balance. So I would ask the board, and it's something that we have been discussing about the need to go over the 2.99% up to 3.14%, so we don't leave that money, approximately $200,000, on the table. Mr. Manna?
Thank you, Dr. Brown. I agree, and I wouldn't characterize it so much as leaving money on the table, because the money's going to be pulled off the table.
You're right.
And especially, Dr. McGinley talked about the BOCES budget, increased fuel and energy costs. Today, myself, Dr. Brownhall, Dr. McGinley attended a seminar on the future of zero emission buses. And what's that going to cost? Well, that's the question. What is it going to cost these districts? Starting in 2027, which seems like 100 years away. But, anytime our provider, Student Transportation Association, buys a new bus, it has to be a zero emission bus. So the big unknown is how much of that what does it cost, and how much of that do they put onto the district? So I guess that's a long-winded way of saying we have the tax cap there for a reason.
Right.
We have absolute need and can use the money.
Correct.
So I am going to support going up to the 3.14%, because I know it will be used.
Dr. Singh, if I may.
We normally have a slide where we show the average tax increase for a household earning $250,000 in our district. Is that going to come in the next presentation?
That will be the next presentation. We didn't want to present it tonight because with that BOCES budget still fluctuating a little bit, we didn't want to present something that wasn't completely accurate.
Board Member Poulin, Parliamentarian Poulin, sorry.
That's okay. I'm going to say too, I'm concerned about us continuing to go into our reserves because that is going to set us up for the future to go into our reserves deeper. And at some point we have to stop. So if we can add a little cushion there, it might be helpful.
Any other questions, board members? I appreciate that input and that feedback.
Just one observation, not really a question. The building aid is coming down. Is it because of the state calculation or we are having less projects to file for aid?
So building aid falls off after 15 years. And it just so happens that projects that started 15 years ago are starting to fall off. But pretty soon we're going to start to have projects come on, such as the air conditioning. So there's a little bit of a dip, but it is projected to go back up.
Thank you.
Thank you. Board President?
Thank you very much. And thank you very much, Dr. McGinley. So we answered questions from the board. We will now have our public forum for the 2026-27 budget only. Anyone wishing to address the board regarding the budget only may approach the podium at this time. I do not see anyone approaching the podium. So may I have a motion to adjourn the budget work session and return to the regular meeting? Ms. Bleckinger, Mr. Bulin, all in favor? Motion carried unanimously. Dr. Brown Hall, I turn it back over to you for your superintendent's report.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that, Board President. So we will do the community update. And the community update is a little long today, so I will make sure I run through it and then answer any questions board members may have. We've had a lot of presentations tonight, and I appreciate that. And, you know, that's our job to make sure our public and our board are informed. So first and foremost, our draft calendar, the 26-27 draft calendar, was presented at the February 10th Board of Education meeting. We allow the calendar to sit and we review all the feedback, and then we actually look for it to be adopted at the March meeting. We received feedback on Thanksgiving recess, winter recess, and the start of the school year. And I believe we're going to discuss that when we have the calendar up for a vote later today. There was a lot of questions or suggestions about the start of the school year. We do start after Labor Day. We start on September 8th, and emails requested that we look at starting prior to Labor Day. That would allow for an extended Thanksgiving recess and an extended winter recess. We also received questions about Diwali. Diwali is not noted on the summary calendar, our one-pager. Our one-pager, we're really limited to the amount of things that we can put on there because it's just a brief synopsis of the calendar. However, that holiday, along with other holidays that are not listed on the one-pager, will be listed in the printed version, the thick version that has many pages that are sent home with to our families, and on the digital edition of the calendar. Holidays that fall on weekends are not listed on that one pager, and they will not be superintendent conference days. However, holidays that are designated and fall within a weekday are listed as superintendent conference days. And so when the board decided to add additional cultural and religious holidays, that's what was discussed at the table, and that's the way the resolution was passed and read. March is Women's History Month, Irish American Heritage Month, and Disability Awareness Month. These are the recognized months, and we do make sure we recognize these in our district. Upcoming meetings. So I want to remind everyone that the next Board of Education meeting is a special board meeting and budget work session 2 weeks from now on March 24th at 6:00 p.m. right here in the boardroom. After that, we will make our way down to the KC Middle School cafeteria for our spring community forum, and that's where it will be held. And it usually starts around 6:45-ish, 7:00. Our board is very adamant that we get feedback from our community and we have conversation during these community forums. So one is held during the fall and another is held during the spring. Board of Education candidates can pick up packets through our district clerk, Ms. Lynn Carey. Packets are due by April 20th by 5 p.m. Also, student Board of Education packets are available in each high school's main office and on our district website. So we did review what the process is for any student to become a student board member. So those packets are available in each high school's main office, and the process is on the district website. So I want to thank our PTSA Council President, Mr. Indel Osuno. Did I say your last name correctly, Indel? Thank you very much. Say it again.
Osuna.
Osuna. All right, it was a wrong vowel at the end. I apologize. So when we attend PTA and PTSA meetings, there's always a request for additional volunteers. And that's what makes our PTAs and PTSAs work. And they're so effective by all the programming and the additional programming they provide for our students and families. But there are some misconceptions that I just want to review here that Endel provided so that we can let everyone know in our district the benefits, number one, of volunteering for PTA, PTSA, and number two, these are some of the misconceptions that we want to make sure they don't cloud your thinking when you're looking to volunteer. Well, number one is not a misconception. Being a PTA, PTSA member is rewarding work that keeps you informed on what's going on in your kids, our students' classrooms, and is a great way to contribute to your community. One of the misconceptions is that volunteering for your PTSA does not have to be a big commitment. Well, that is a misconception. It is not a big commitment. You are able to simply apply for membership and lend support in name only. How much time you put into it is totally up to you, but it is very rewarding. Membership is not limited to parents. Community members looking to join and make connections are more than welcome to join. You do not need to have a child actively in school to join. PTA, PTSA is not controlled by the school or the district. PTA, PTSA works in partnership, but they have their own rules and make their own decisions regarding funding. Their role is not to make policy in the school. The role is to be advisory and advocacy based. We do look to our PTSA Council for a lot of feedback. They partner with us for the Superintendent Speaker Series and on a number of items in the school district. PTA, PTSA is a yearly membership. If you join, you are not tied to it forever. And also, you're not required to attend all the meetings. Attendance is not mandatory if you become a member. You must only be present if you want to vote on a cause. So these are things that we really want you to consider. I know a lot of times because parents see so much activity going on in our schools that PTAs and PTAs essays are a part of, you please don't think that you have to participate in every single thing. It's really up to you the amount of time that you are able to volunteer, but I do want to encourage you to please volunteer in your school's PTA, PTSA, and even if you can't attend meetings, if you can volunteer at some of the events they hold, that is also very important. Thank you very much. Portrait of a Graduate. So partnering with PTSA Council, this year, the speaker series focused on Portrait of a Graduate. Now that will be released on Tuesday, April 14th at 6:30 p.m. on the district's YouTube channel. The video series runs about an hour and features 5 segments: an overview and introduction, part 1, academically prepared, part 2, creative innovator and critical thinker, part 3, effective communicator, and part 4, global citizen and reflective and future focused. Dr. Capuano, when he was presenting, he did go over, he highlighted the Portrait of a Graduate, and this is our initiative in the district, how we're going to really approach Portrait of a Graduate and how many of the things we're already doing are aligned with Portrait of a Graduate. So please review our Portrait of a Graduate informational page on the district website that is already active and really full of important information. It's strategic planning time. So our current strategic plan goes until 2027. It's 2022 to 2027. It's a 5-year plan. Our next strategic plan will kick off July 1, 2027. But we know that in preparation for our strategic plan, it is a year-long process. So right now, we are in the process of recruiting and canvassing for committee members. Yesterday, we released a letter to our school community asking for parental involvement. Committee members will be finalized between April and May 2026. We will plan our monthly meetings to take place between September 2026 and April 2027. April 2027, we want to have a finished plan submitted to the Board of Education for review and a 30-day comment period. After that, we will receive all the comments. The committee will reconvene to review the comments and see if there's any changes that need to be made to the plan. And then we will have final adoption at the June 2027 board meeting for implementation on July 1, 2027. So that is the timeline for our next strategic plan. SPACE, Supportive Parenting for Anxious Childhood Emotions. SPACE is the acronym. The community workshop will be on Thursday, March 26th from 5:30 to 7 o'clock p.m. at Mill Middle School. Background information on the evidence-based research that support the program's principles and provide strategies and tools that parents can utilize navigating a child's anxious behaviors. 8-week virtual training will be offered through the Williamsville Family Support Center in April and May. So we thank the Department of Student Support Services under the direction of Assistant Superintendent Scanzuzzo for introducing SPACE. And Dr. Steppenbach is the district contact, correct?
Correct.
Thank you. We're hiring. We've reposted again. We're currently hiring. We have many openings in the district, and you can click the link on our district webpage. You click the jobs link, it will take you to our current openings. If you in this presentation click on current openings, it will take you there also. But one of the things that we're hiring for immediately is our middle school nurse at Mill Middle School. So if you know of anyone that might be interested, please share this information with them. Our high school musicals. Williamsville North debuted the SpongeBob musical last weekend. I was there. There was a lot of activity on that stage. These kids are so talented. They're acting, they're singing, and they're dancing, all the choreography. Very, very great musical. And this coming weekend, I will be going to see Into the Woods at Williamsville East High School. I'm very excited about that. One of my favorite musicals. SIAC Spirit Week is coming up the week March 23rd to March 27th. It's the hashtag Willpower Spirit Week sponsored by SIAC. The elementary, middle, and high schools will be doing a canned food drive for the Williamsville Food Pantry. The high schools will also be hosting a bake sale on Thursday and Friday, March 26th and 27th, with the proceeds going to the American Heart Association. School Spirit Day is also Friday, March 27th. I want to also acknowledge the alumni associations that are starting, and we've had a first meeting for every single alumni association. Alumni interest forms can still be submitted through our district website. We are in the process of developing executive committees for each of our high school alumni associations, and then they will take it from there. We want to keep our alumni involved. We want to make sure that they are supporting our schools also, and they want to know what's going on in the high schools they graduated from. So this is in partnership with the Williamsville Education Foundation. Our Wall of Fame nominations for the Williamsville Wall of Fame are due April 13th. Nomination applications are available on the district website. The Wall of Fame induction ceremony will take place on Friday, November 13th at the Country Club of Buffalo. We will not meet again. We will meet again. I'm sorry, March 24th. Sorry about that. However, we want to remind everyone of spring recess. There will not be a community update at the March 24th meeting. So we want to remind everyone now that spring recess will be April 3rd to the 10th, 2026. And that is the community update for March 10th. Are there any questions? I know that was a lot of information, but are there any questions, board members? Seeing none, I turn it back over to you, board president.
Okay. Are you covering anything on 6B or 6C?
Those are very self-explanatory. The capital reserve proposition and the facility update. And if you look at those items in board docs, they are very detailed, especially the facility update. It even has pictures. So please, I encourage you. You added the pictures, right? I know. So yes, because they were in the weekly update too. So I encourage you all to look at that so you can see our facility updates in there.
Okay, wonderful. So were there any questions on either of those items before we move on?
Just one question.
Dr. Singh?
We have a new capital reserve for 36 million. Is there like a term limit on how long the reserve can be held?
There is a term limit on how, isn't there? What? It can only go up to the 36 million. I'm sorry.
Up to the 36 million over 18 years we can
18 years.
contribute into it. You can carry on beyond that, but your contribution limit ends at 18 years.
Okay.
So we can draw upon it beyond that.
Thanks.
Any other questions? Okay, we are on item 7, which is our 26-27 draft student calendar. So to expedite this, may I have a motion to approve the 26-27 school calendar as presented? Ms. Bleckinger, Dr. Singh is the second. Is there any discussion? Ms. Poulin.
Yes, I would like to propose that, given the feedback that we received from our community comments, we also had the opportunity to hear from our students at SIAC and learning about some of the start dates of some of our neighborhood schools, that we seriously take a look at making an amended calendar to go ahead and start, excuse me, my allergies really kicked in this weekend, start on that first week of September, give us that extra day at Thanksgiving, the extra day at winter break, and then that gives us one more float day too, so that's not a bad thing. So I would like to make an amendment that we get adjustment to the school calendar.
Are there any, but are you making the formal amendment, or let's continue with discussion and then you can.
Second the amendment.
Okay, so that was the formal amendment. So just to be clear, that would be starting then September 1st, correct?
Correct.
And then I would imagine having September 7th off, which is Labor Day. And
I think we looked.
May?
4th off also.
Dr. Brown Hall, I think has,
If I may.
yes, please.
What I would, okay, if I may, because we did receive feedback and people were asking about that. We brought it to SIAC. The SIAC students and DSP was there. If he wants to chime in, they overwhelmingly were in favor of that. And, parents were asking about that. I would suggest, and if we do start prior to Labor Day, we can start September 1st, 2nd, and 3rd for our students. By contract, we have to do a 4-day Labor Day weekend by teacher contract. So it'd be September 4th and September 7th off. We would continue on the 8th. We may want to get additional feedback from parents and then make a decision at the March 24th meeting. I would maybe suggest we do that.
I agree with that.
Well, don't we need to come up with the calendar and the days off now and then republish that or repost it or whatever and then
Have a comment period?
I don't know if we need to.
Well, so looking ahead and knowing this discussion may come up, we do have a vehicle to survey parents very quickly. So what it would look like is starting September 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, having off Pie Day. It's the day before Thanksgiving where people traditionally make their pies. Also have off, because right now in our current calendar, the first day off for winter break is Christmas Eve. We would add a day there. So the first day off would be December 23rd. And then we would have a day where we would have an additional snow day. Now, we could also talk with our school community that if we use 3 or fewer snow days next year, we could then apply that additional snow day to a 4-day Memorial Day weekend if we use 3 or fewer snow days by April 1st. And we do have this in a format that lists all that out and is ready to go if we choose to survey our school community.
Dr. Brown Hall? Any of our bargaining units have any say besides the contractual day off before Labor Day?
They don't have a say. We send the calendar out to get feedback from our bargaining units. And there was no feedback. That we had one question that we worked through with the WTA, but there was no feedback. Now the WTA did do an informal survey of their membership, and it was pretty evenly split about the calendars.
Do we have any guidance from BOCES on what their start date is?
Their start date is September 8th. It is September 8th. But we
have
do
to coincide with them due to like Harkness busing.
Sports.
Yeah, exactly.
We coincide with them on a few of our dates and some of the dates we don't. For example, many of the culture and religious holidays that we acknowledge in the district, they do not. So we have plans at our high school set up for students when BOCES is in session and we are not, and vice versa.
So if we started earlier, that they would be all taken care of.
They would be taken care of. We have, just for example, when we in our district, we do not acknowledge, for example, BOCES is off March 13th, this coming Friday, for staff development. We are not. So our high schools develop a plan for our students on those days. I will let you know that Tonawanda is starting before Labor Day. Grand Island is starting before Labor Day. Kenmore Tonawanda is starting before Labor Day. And West Seneca, I know, is starting before Labor Day.
They are, but some are not starting on that.
I thought Lackawanna.
They're starting on Tuesday or Wednesday.
That's what
Say it again, I'm sorry.
Not starting on that Monday.
September 1st is the Tuesday,
The
just so
Tuesday.
you know.
I believe Kenton is
We
starting.
we can't start before September 1st.
Okay. I believe Kenton is starting the 2nd.
Okay.
So that's something else to consider. We don't have to start on that Tuesday.
Buffalo's TBA.
We have to give the day before Labor Day. So if we didn't start on the Tuesday, people would be coming back Wednesday, Thursday, then off Friday, which I think is a little bit of a disruption. So, I mean, and just to not to put too fine of a point on parliamentarian Poland's amendment. So we're going to basically amend to change the calendar to what Dr. Brownhall explained, which would be coming back the 1st, 2nd, 3rd of September, off the 4th, off the day before Thanksgiving, and off the day before Christmas Eve, and then one additional floating snow day, or heat day, whatever, school closure.
Heat day.
Could be anything.
Emergency school closure.
Emergency day.
Right, no more
So
snow days.
September 2nd and 3rd, if that's what those would be days of student attendance, just not staff attendance.
Well, the staff have to be here if the students are.
No, I know, but I'm saying it wouldn't be like they come in, the staff comes in a week before, right?
Oh, no, the staff will then come in the last week of August, like they did this year.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 1st, 2nd, 3rd of September.
Correct.
So we have two different ideas on the table right now. First, there was the proposed amendment, which we've sort of gotten off track of. No, that's okay. I think having the discussion first makes more sense. Or now potentially surveying our families on the choice between these two calendars, the one that we just discussed or the one that's currently our draft, correct?
My opinion would be to figure out the amendment and see if we have the votes for that, and see if the parents, what their opinion is on the amended calendar. I think it gets too confusing if you're sending out two different calendars with, asking people to comment on and have this voted on in 3 weeks.
My understanding, well, Dr. Brownhall, why don't you explain how it would be done?
Right. It would be a survey that was sent to families with either choice A or choice B.
Okay.
Choice A is our current calendar. Choice B would be the calendar that starts on September 1st. Students would attend September 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. And then we would list the additional days off during the calendar.
Either way, I just wonder how
And
the
then,
mechanism.
yeah, it would be very simple. We would have the calendar up for a week and 3 days so that we can get the information, send it to the board, so the board can make an informed decision at the March 24th Board of Education meeting.
Ms. Fletch?
Yeah. So I just wanted to give my opinion. I think that based on the amount of feedback that we got, in my opinion, I don't think it's necessary to send it out for another vote. And I do think another thing to consider is that AP classes, schools start earlier around the country, and, we're always so behind, they have to squish so much in already. So I just think, it seemed like everybody really was for the September 1st start date. So that's just my opinion. If we had a vote today, I would vote yes.
And that was just a suggestion. That's completely up to the board.
Well, we know we got the comments back, and the comments I recall being all over the board. They wanted a 2-week break,
right? They did.
which didn't coincide with what the actual school year was.
Right.
Wanted more days off for this, less days off for that. I didn't get a clear sense of, because this was the only option. They really commented on things that we couldn't do. So, whatever the board's preference is to go through this whole thing of asking comments from 2 calendars, or us just saying, here's the amended calendar and this is what it is.
Can we vote on it?
Just for clarity's sake, Dr. Brownhall,
Yes,
how
sir.
many comments did we get? Do you know the number?
The number was in the
30.
30.
It was 30. So I'm not sure we can base
Not a lot.
30 comments on the whole school population.
Extrapolate to the
Yeah.
whole.
I'm,
I mean, we're talking about 3 days. I don't know.
It is a bit controversy, though. I would like to see it go out as another survey.
Okay, so Dr. Singh?
I mean, I don't have a suggestion. I just had a question. What was the district's reasoning behind starting on Monday?
Say it one more time. I'm sorry, Dr. Singh.
District came with a calendar to start on Monday.
On Tuesday, September 8th.
What was the reasoning for that when?
That's what BOCES
That's what BOCES does, and we've historically started the day after Labor Day.
Okay.
this is just the latest Labor
This
Day.
is the latest
This is-
Labor Day could be.
Yeah.
Say it again, Doc?
This is the latest Labor Day could ever be.
That's just the
This
superintendent's
coming-
meeting.
Yeah.
this
Correct.
And this particular year was the earliest it could be.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
Correct.
Well, perhaps should we take a vote on if there's going to be an amended calendar and then decide whether or not we're going to put that out for another family
But we
poll?
could actually amend the amendment.
Oh.
Double amendment.
We didn't take a
Double
vote on the.
single
Right.
Correct.
So I would suggest that we make whichever motion we're going to make, which is either amending the calendar now and trying to approve it now, or postponing with the idea of putting out the survey to families. Those are the two choices. Ms. Blackinger,
Make a motion to postpone the amendment. Can I do that?
to postpone,
The amendment and to put out a survey.
it's to postpone the approval of the student calendar.
Yeah.
Yeah. And to put out a survey.
That's right.
So Ms. Blackinger,
Second.
Mr. Manna is the second. All in favor?
Favor of which one?
We are voting on postponing the calendar so that we can provide a survey to families. All in favor? Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Opposed or abstention? Ms. Fletch?
Opposed.
Okay, so all but Ms. Fletch were in favor. Ms. Fletch is opposed. So it carried 6-1. Okay, thank you, everyone. So we are postponing that, and we will be putting out a survey to families on WITS.
Yes.
All right, we are on to item 8A. Would any student board members, thank you for still being here, like to provide a report on the activities and events at their high school? Typically, we've been starting at the start of the table. So DSP, who's representing South, would you like to do that, please?
Yes, I would. Can we get my slides? All right. What's happening at South? Let's start with first, our clubs and school events. Our DECA team just returned from the state competition with some huge wins. We had Amina Buskan she's our state champion in marketing professional selling. Then we had Mariah and Mia Abraham, who took third place for their business growth plan, and then Sophia Hansen, who also took third place in the hospitality selling. And we're incredibly proud of them. Then moving on to the Lift Club, who hosted a 3-day Meant for More series in the gym class. This was a student-led initiative focused on mental health and community, featuring guest speakers and student testimonies. Now, not to be confused, now moving on to our fitness club news. They finished up their February plank challenges. Our student winners were Kevin Pop, who you can see on the right, who held a plank for 11 minutes, and then our female winner, Amelia Mercado, who held a plank for 4 minutes. Our staff got involved too, with Miss Girth holding a 6-minute plank, and then our top winners even walked out with a Chipotle gift card. And then we also hosted a blood drive recently where 38 donors helped supply blood for 111 people in need. Moving on to athletics. In track, Amari West broke a 14-year-old Section 6 record in the 55-meter dash with a time of 6.34 seconds. And this past weekend, both Amari and Thomas Gervasi represented South at the state level against the best in New York. In swimming, Carter Kowalski took first place at the sectionals in the 100 butterfly, and Bobby Miller qualified for states in both 200 and 100 free. Then for our skiing team, Declan Coleman and Claire Howd both finished third in the section and competed at states. Finally, our girls basketball team, Tessa Petrie was named ECIC first team, and Hannah Metz earned the second team and defense star all honors. Then some of our upcoming events that are going to happen at South is on March 12th, we're going to have the National Honor Society induction. March 13th, we have the spring charity dance, which preceding all the proceedings of it goes to the Williamsville Food Pantry. Then March 26th, we have the Taste of South and Celebration of Talent, which I highly encourage everybody to come. And they're going to be raising money for Sleep in Heavenly Peace to build beds for children in Buffalo who don't have one. That's all for South. Any questions?
I don't think so. Thank you so much, DSP. We will have Salil from East go next. I believe we need to just double check. You're all set? We're checking on your video. Sounds like it's working. All right, Salil, so we'll get started with your presentation.
Okay. So I just wanted to start off by showcasing our Unity and Diversity performance, which was the largest performance in the history of Williamsville East. And this club has been active for, I believe, 32 years now, and East is in its 51 years, so it's been more than half the school's history. So this is a huge deal for the school. Awesome. And there were 18 different countries represented, and the whole showcase lasted an hour and 45 minutes, which is just incredible what all the students did and all the performances that they put together. So here's some photos from the performances. And at the end, I just have a small video clip it to show you what the performance looked like. So yeah, I just want to say once again, great job to everyone who participated in the Unity performance. For our music department, as Dr. Brown Hall mentioned, our Into the Woods musical play will be this week, Thursday, Friday, Saturday at 7 p.m., as well as 1 p.m. on Saturday. Tickets are $13 online and $15 in person if you go. And the seats are limited, so if you're planning on attending, make sure to buy them quickly because I'm sure they'll sell out. For sports updates, for our winter season that just completed, girls basketball team finished as the runner-up in Section 6 Class AA and losing to North Tonawanda in the sectional finals. However, this was a great accomplishment and congrats to everyone. Julie Cruz scored her 1,000 career points in the girls playoff match against Frontier, and varsity cheerleading competed in the NISPSA championship, placing 6th overall. Lily Ascone competed in the NISPSA Indoor Track Championships, finishing 4th place in the 600 meter. Max Anderson competed in the NISPSA Boys Swim Championships, placing 2nd in the 200 free. Max also broke a 40-year Section 6 record and broke his own school record as well. He also finished 4th in the 500 free, breaking a 24-year-old Section 6 record and his own school record. So great job. Absolutely. We had 6 student athletes sign their letter of intent to play college sports. Max Anderson signed for swim at Loyola University of Maryland. Nico Biscaglia signed for soccer at Duo University. Sarah Delasanti signed for flag football at Duo University. Will Kowalski signed for lacrosse at Canisius University. Summer Show signed for lacrosse at Damon University. And Kyrie Smith signed for lacrosse at Duo University. So great job to all the athletes, and I hope they have a successful career. As for other school events, on the same day as our Unity Assembly, after school French Honor Society held a bake sale Amour de Pâtisserie to raise money for international children in the Congo. On Wednesday, February 25th, we had a college informational night where all adults as well as students were invited to come learn a bit more about the college application process and the finances of it for anyone who's just unfamiliar, and as for juniors who it would especially apply to. On Friday, March 6th, UNICEF had its spike ball tournament after school to raise money for international charities. I believe we had 6 teams participate, and it was a great success from what I've heard. On Monday, March 9th, HOSA had a field trip to Jacobs Medical School, Gross Anatomy Lab, and Brain Museum, and as well as HOSA's online competitive events are taking place this week. So students basically sign up to take an event of their choosing, such as medical nutrition or medical math, and then they basically compete with other students across New York State. Today, in fact, in school, Mrs. Azarelli Brown worked with the English department to host a guest speaker who was Mr. Todd Roach of the Equal Justice Initiative from Alabama, who visited East to present on the initiative and legacy of Brian Stevenson's work. So students attended this in-school field trip where they were in the odds from periods 5 through 9 to learn about working on themes of equity, justice, and social emotional supports that are able to bring positive change in their community. Students learned a lot about just challenging false narratives and what they can do to basically tackle racism and other challenges within our community. And just because of how diverse of a community we are, it was just a great series today. On Wednesday, March 18th, there's a college fair visit for juniors where there will be over 200 colleges attending. On Saturday, March 14th, the class of 2029 is celebrating Pi Day with PieOmine, where they're telling students to purchase pies, and if they mention the code Williamsville East, they'll get a small discount. And on Friday, March 13th, Math Club is having like a Pi Day celebration after school where they're just giving out pies to students. So that's great. And our Spring Spirit Week will be taking place from March 23rd to March 27th. Monday is going to be ER Day. Tuesday will be Dynamic Duo / Group Day. Tuesday will be Blood Drive actions in the Commons. And Wednesday will be Monochrome Day. Wednesday will also be a heart CPR practice where students can learn CPR techniques to gain certifications. And then Wednesday will also be our Flavors of East, which is an after-school event where clubs, and not necessarily clubs, but students of diverse backgrounds who may want to share their cultural dishes from home can sign up to host a table. And students basically receive tickets or like a punch card where you go around and you sample foods from all sorts of different cultures and, cuisines. So that's a great opportunity. On Thursday, March 26th will be Jersey Day. Friday, March 26th, Thursday, March 26th will also be the Phys Ed volleyball tournament, which will take place in school. And Friday is the school spirit day, so all East students are told to wear red. Now, Stuco is also launching a 5th student council position known as a social media campaign manager. So what they've been doing this year is they've had basically the secretary who's been sort of managing like records and all that, but they've also been wanting to launch more social media like sort of campaigns. And one example of this, as I can share with you, would be the East Olympics, which is taking place for the first time. So homecoming is where all the fall athletes, basically all the seniors, get to come out and just like share. They just get to like run out and talk to like all the kids. But the Stuco, what they want to do is they wanted to celebrate all the spring and the winter athletes too. So they're launching the winter or the East Olympics to basically commemorate that. Hit it.
Hey, what's going on? What song? No, what's going on? Oh, the Friday Spring Spirit Week Student Council is hosting the very first East Olympics Assembly. We're looking for teams of 4 to 5 people to participate. There'll be 3 games in the semifinals. What games? Our first game is musical chairs. Hey, no pushing! Our second game will be trivia. 2 people from each team will participate in this game. Our third game will be head, shoulders, knees, cups. 2 teammates from each team participate in this game. Heads, shoulders, knees, cups. Now, first we move on to our next round, and that is out. The assembly will also feature an opening ceremony, a torch lighting, a sports parade, and of course, a medal ceremony to see who takes home the gold. We'll be tabulating the scores from your teams throughout the assembly, and the top 4 teams will go to the final round. You'll have to wait until the assembly to see what that round is.
So basically, they just want to launch a position to sort of make these sorts of videos and just promote more of these events at East. And other than that, on Tuesday, March 31st, there's a Connect Life blood drive in school gym from 8 to 2, and all blood will be donated locally in Western New York. That's it.
That was a lot. Thank you so much.
Just to clarify, the speaker that Miss Azarelli Brown brought in today is also the keynote at the Challenge to Change conference tomorrow, correct?
I believe so.
Yeah, I'm quite sure. So very
Makes
exciting.
sense.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Giselle Maurice, representing North, would you like to provide your report?
Yes, thank you. As Dr. Brown Hall mentioned in his community update, this past weekend we had our musical, which was SpongeBob musical. Definitely a very lively performance. The choreography was amazing, amazing performers, and congratulations to all those who were involved, especially with tech and behind the scenes work.
Great.
On April 1st, we have our first Fusion Fest, which is going to be an in-school assembly full of multicultural performances, similar to that at East, from around the world. And parents and community members are also invited to attend this. So it is not just open to students. I believe it starts at 9 a.m. I'd have to double check that. But we welcome to the community to share their cultures and watch what some students will be able to perform. This Friday on March 13th, we have our biannual blood drive, like other schools. We have our annual Taste of North on March 23rd. And this year we're having a new expert panel of judges, and they're hosting a culinary champion contest with valuable prizes for whatever table has the best dish. As some of you guys know, one of our most important events at North is our homecoming week. So this year, all the festivities will be paid for by the Krolix Fish Fry and Chicken Dinner, which is also this Friday, March 13th. So you can pre-order meals or you can buy them at the school on the 13th. And all of the proceeds will be going to our bonfire, our dances, games, and prizes. And as Student Council works to improve our homecoming each year, the funds also have to increase too. So stop by and get dinner for your family, either fish fry or chicken fingers. And today was our 7th Be Good, Do Good Tuesday. And the initiative was, I'm lucky to have you message cards. So students were encouraged to write a note to family, friends, or teachers and let them know how much you appreciate them. In our athletics department, congratulations to Milia Kopchenko, who is now the state champion for the 1,000 meter and broke the Section 6 record. She's also second in New York State for the 1,500 meter. So she is just breaking records, and she moves on this week to New Balance Nationals. Also, Lily Bauer is 7th in the state for 55 meter hurdles, and she also is going to nationals this week. Aria Cacharone is 3rd in the state for triple jump, who is also heading to nationals. And a few other track athletes heading to New Balance Nationals and Nike Nationals this upcoming weeks. Similar to DSP, we also had the DECA State Championships, and 5 students qualified for ICDC, which is all the states across our nation. And through this DECA competition, I believe we have had multiple students place at ICDC. So congratulations to those that made it, and hope you do well. Also, next week, we have our side-by-side concert. As you guys heard at the beginning of our meeting, we have an amazing musical department in the districts, and it is definitely evident, and we want to welcome our new students. So I definitely would encourage coming to side-by-side concert, which is combined of North, Hive, and Casey. And that's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks to all of you for sharing your reports this evening. And now we are moving on to item 8B. I'm just going to say that all of our events are listed in board docs. That new one that was scheduled recently is our after school conversations with staff, which is April 21st. Are there any comments on any of our events? Okay. Item 8C, our board candidate information, 8D, district voter information, 8E, ECASB, 8F, NISBA, and 8G, liaison assignments are all listed in board docs. 8H, we received correspondence from community members on facilities employment and on district policy 7560. 8I has info on the Erie One BOCES annual meeting notice and vote, and later under 18A, we will have a call for those nominations. Are there any board member comments or questions related to any of those items? Okay, we're on our consent agenda. May I have a motion to approve the agenda items 10 minutes, 11 personnel, 12 business and finance, 13 district facilities and support services, 14 exceptional education, special needs and student activities, 15 instruction curriculum, and 16 other business as presented. Ms. Bleckinger, Mr. Bulin, is there any discussion? All in favor? Motion carried unanimously. We just approved the appointment for the Assistant Business Manager at District Office, Syed Shah. Congratulations and thank you for being here. You are welcome to say a few words if you like. If not, that's fine too.
Thank you very much, Board of Education, Dr. Brownhall, and all the committee for trusting on me. It's very honor for me to attending today's meeting. And yeah, I'm so excited. I'm going to join on April 7, and I'm looking forward to collaborate with all of you guys. Thank you very much.
Wonderful.
Wonderful, thank you.
Thank you.
We're doing a picture? Okay.
Dinner reservations.
Thank you to the following retirees for their service to the district. Diane Berger, teacher, Heim Elementary School with 26 years of service. Jennifer Engman, teacher, East High School with 31 years of service. Kim Forns, teacher, Casey Middle School with 26 years of service. Deborah Graham, physical therapist, district-wide with 29 years of service. Cheryl Lazaro, Director of Special Education with 16 years of service. Diane Ottinger, Teacher Aide, Heim Middle School with 1 year of service. Deborah Pope, Teacher, Maple East Elementary School with 26 years of service. And Paula Rogers, Teacher, South High School with 33 years of service. Congratulations and thank you to all. We are now on item 17A. May I have a motion for the second reading and review of policy updates 1620 annual organizational meeting, 1640 absentee military and early mail ballots, 7513 medication and personal care items, and 7521 students with life-threatening health conditions and/or anaphylaxis as presented. Ms. Bleckinger, Mr. Bulin, is there any discussion? All in favor? Motion carried unanimously. May I have a motion to adopt these same policy updates? Ms. Poulin, Dr. Singh, is there any discussion? All in favor? Motion carried unanimously. We are on item 18A, which is nominations for 2 Erie One BOCES board trustees that are due to the Erie One BOCES district clerk by March 20th. We received requests for nomination from the 2 incumbents only. Would someone like to make a motion to nominate a candidate for the Erie One BOCES board? Parliamentarian Poulin.
I'd like to make a motion to nominate Janet McGregor-Plough for the incumbent.
Yes. So Board Member Poulin has moved to nominate Janet McGregor-Plar, the incumbent located in the Frontier Central School District, as a candidate for the election to be held on April 21st, 2026, to serve as a trustee for the Board of Cooperative Educational Services, First Supervisory District of Erie County, in a term beginning July 1st, 2026 through June 30th, 2029. Is there a second? Mr. Manna, is there any discussion? All in favor? Motion carried unanimously. Is there another nomination? Mr. Manna.
I'd like to nominate John Sherman. The incumbent is located in the Tonawanda City School District as a candidate for the election to be held on April 21st, 2026, to serve as a trustee on the Board of Cooperation Educational Services, First Supervisory District of Erie County, in a term to begin July 1st, 2026 through June 30th, 2029.
Is there a second? Dr. Singh, is there any discussion? All in favor? Motion carried unanimously. We are now on item 19A, our second public expression. If anyone in the audience would like to speak at this time, please step up to the podium. There is someone stepping up. If you, I will have Parliamentarian Poulin review our public expression format, and then you can state your name when she's completed that.
Yes, just a reminder that you have 3 minutes to speak. You may not reference any individuals by name at this time, and please direct your comments to the board. We will send you a response through email and not have a discussion at this time.
Alrighty. It won't take 3 minutes.
Your name, please?
Endel Osuna. Just first and foremost, I just want to say to the student board members, you've done a really good job this year. I've watched you guys throughout the year on YouTube, and you guys really set the bar high for future student board members. So just want to say good job. And second, if anyone has any questions, if anyone's still watching in the community and has any questions about PTSA, feel free to reach out to Williamsville PTSA Council at gmail.com. Council is COUNCIL. That's all I have. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak during the second public expression? Okay. Item 20, there are no matters to discuss under legislative matters. Item 21, does anyone have a topic under committee of the whole? I don't see any, so this concludes our regular board meeting. The next scheduled meeting is our budget work session on March 24th at 6 p.m. And then after the budget work session, we invite you to attend our community forum in the Casey Middle School cafeteria with an approximate start time of 7 p.m. Is there a motion to adjourn the regular board meeting? Ms. Fletch, Mr. Manna, all in favor? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you. Good night.